This is the true story of the rise and downfall of the Black Mafia family, better known as BMF. A lot of people today know BMF because of the TV show and the hype around it. But the real story goes way deeper than what you see on screen. This wasn't just a crew. This was one of the biggest drug organizations in American history, built by two brothers from Detroit, Demetrius Big Meech, Flannery, and Terry Southwest T. Flannery ran the streets for nearly 15 years, moved hundreds of millions of dollars, and controlled drug routes across the entire country. But the same things that made BMF powerful are the same things that destroyed it. So hit that like, subscribe, bang that bell, sit back because I'm about to break down how BMF rose, how they ruled, and how it all fell apart. Meech and Terry grew up in Southwest Detroit, in a small bungalow on Edsall Street. Their family didn't have money. They were on welfare, but they had structure. Their parents were religious, prayed regularly, and tried to keep the family together. This kind of upbringing wasn't unusual in Detroit at the time. In the 1950s, Detroit was one of the most successful cities in America. But by the 1970s, factories closed, people left, and the city collapsed. The 1967 Detroit riots burned large sections of the city. And by the 1980s, Detroit became one of the crack capitals of the country. They started small, selling weed, then crack. In the early days, they were known as the 50 Boys because they sold $50 bags of crack. What made them different was discipline and ambition. They weren't satisfied with street corners. They wanted scale. Meech and Terry were brothers, but they were complete opposites. Meech was loud, charismatic, and flashy. He loved attention, parties, expensive cars, women, and the spotlight. He believed notoriety helped business. Terry, on the other hand, was quiet, calculated, and cautious. He stayed in the background, avoided attention, and planned moves like a chess player, thinking 5 steps ahead. By design, Terry wanted to be invisible, and that balance is what made BMF so powerful at first. By the 1990s, BMF had outgrown Detroit. The brothers decided to expand and split the country. Meech took the East Coast, and Atlanta Terry took the West Coast and Los Angeles. Detroit stayed the central hub. They connected with Mexican cartel suppliers, allowing them to move cocaine on a massive scale. At their peak, BMF was considered the largest wholesale cocaine distributor in the United States. They operated like a corporation, managers in every city, couriers moving kilos, vehicles with hidden compartments, detailed ledgers, and record debts. They even opened a front business called Oracle Motorsports in Los Angeles, which customized luxury cars and installed extremely complex hidden compartments. Some compartments required the car to be in reverse, AC on, sunroof open, and magnets placed in specific spots just to open. The flash that changed everything. BMF had money like few others. Cash purchases only. Mercedes, Bentleys, Ferraris, Maybachs. Meech became extremely flamboyant. He was spending $15,000 a night in clubs, allegedly helped popularize Making It Rain, and lived like a rock star. Terry hated it. He warned Meech constantly, "You're bringing heat. You're starting a war with the police." But Meech believed visibility meant power, and Atlanta became his playground. In November 2003, everything changed. At Club Chaos in Atlanta, an argument broke out involving Anthony Wolf Jones, a longtime bodyguard for Sean Diddy Combs, and members of BMF. The dispute allegedly involved a former girlfriend sitting at the BMF table. Wolf was thrown out of the club. Around 4 a.m., dozens of shots rang out. Wolf Jones and his childhood friend Lamont Gertie Grady were both shot. Grady later died at the hospital. Meech was also shot in the butt. Meech told police he was running away and didn't know what happened. He was arrested, then released due to lack of evidence. Ironically, this made Meech more popular. Free Meech shirts were everywhere. BMF became a street legend. But behind the scenes, law enforcement finally started paying attention. The DEA began digging deep. A mansion known as the White House in Atlanta was searched. Inside, they found vehicle titles, ledgers, names, phone numbers, connections to dozens of luxury cars. No drugs were found, but the paperwork told a story. Then came the Velvet Room incident in 2004. A man tapped a BMF vehicle while walking through a parking lot. Members jumped out, beat him unconscious, then shot and killed him. The victim was 23-year-old Rashad Rashonibal, Prince Drummond. No one testified, but the image of BMF began to crack. Investigators realized something important. Terry was the real operator. They wiretapped phones connected to Terry's girlfriend. Terry used multiple phones, but he talked too much. He complained about Meech, the billboards, the flashiness, the attention. He even discussed drug shipments on the phone. One call mentioned a courier caught with 10 kilos in Detroit. That was the mistake. The vehicle was tied back to BMF paperwork seized earlier. From there, the dominoes fell. Vehicles across the country were seized with hundreds of thousands of dollars inside. Titles matched BMF records. Phone numbers matched wiretaps. The puzzle was complete. Jewelry, money, and red flags. When Meech was arrested again in 2005, police seized his jewelry. It was appraised at $2.6 million. Meech never tried to get it back. That stunned investigators. Same with cars, same with houses. Once law enforcement touched it, BMF abandoned it. To the feds, that screamed criminal enterprise. The feds still needed one thing, an insider. That came when Omari Old Dog McGree flipped. He confirmed Meech was the boss. That opened the floodgates, the fall. In October 2005, indictments dropped. Meech was arrested in Texas. Terry was arrested in St. Louis. The case showed 15 plus years of trafficking, over $270 million in money judgments, and over 150 indictments. Even celebrity jeweler Jacob the Jeweler went down for laundering BMF money. The brothers were separated and began blaming each other. Meech blamed Terry's phone calls. Terry blamed Meech's flash, but neither snitched. In 2008, both brothers were sentenced to 30 years. Terry was released early in 2020 due to COVID and placed on home confinement. Meech received sentence reductions and was released in October 2024. When you strip away the money, the cars, the parties, and the legend, the story of BMF comes down to one hard truth. No empire built on chaos lasts forever. For years, Big Meech and Terry were untouchable. They had money, loyalty, fear, and reach. They had people willing to die for them and people willing to go to prison for them. But the thing that ultimately destroyed BMF wasn't one mistake. It was a pattern. It was too much noise. Meech believed attention was power. He believed being seen made people afraid, and fear kept the business running. Terry believed silence was survival. He believed the less people who knew, the longer they would last. Both ideas worked until they didn't. Meech's flash brought eyes. Terry's phone calls brought evidence. And once the federal government had both eyes and evidence, the ending was already written. This is what makes BMF different from most street stories. It wasn't greed that took them down. They already had more money than they could spend. It wasn't betrayal either. No one from the inner circle flipped early. It was ego colliding with pressure. Meech couldn't slow down. Terry couldn't stop talking. And the machine they built was too big to hide forever. Another important part of this story is loyalty. Despite blaming each other privately, neither brother ever took the stand against the other. In an era where most empires collapse from snitching, that's something even law enforcement acknowledged. But loyalty doesn't erase consequences. The same system that gave them power also guaranteed their downfall. You can't move that much product, that much money, and that much attention without eventually attracting the full force of the federal government. And when the feds come, they don't miss. BMF wasn't taken down in one night. It was dismantled piece by piece. Phone calls, car titles, ledgers, wiretaps, surveillance, and time, lots of time. That's the real lesson here. Not every downfall is dramatic. Most are slow, quiet, and methodical. So when people glamorize BMF, it's important to remember how it ended. Brothers separated, decades in prison, an empire erased, and a legacy that still sparks debate today. Was it worth it? That's something only Meech and Terry can answer. Now I want to hear from you. Who do you think was more responsible for the downfall of BMF? Big Meech or Southwest T? Was it Flash or phones that sealed their fate? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. If you enjoyed this true crime breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story. And if you want more real, unfiltered true crime stories, watch the video below. I'll see you over there. Peace.